But she would not give him a child. And I said, well, how did you manage that? She said, well, of course, I took the medicine. And I thought, oh, at last. And so she told me she'd give it to me when I got, and I was going up the river, and I said, give it to me when I get back. I didn't want it, for one thing, I didn't want to carry it around because I knew by then that anything that has to do with the giving or withholding of life, things that ease birth, ease labor, and they have some very good ones, and things that, and the contraceptives, and the abortifacients, they have very good things for abortion. All of those are so secret that you have to be awfully careful and awfully sure you're really in and intimate before you mention them. At least you did in those days. It's easing up now as they're losing their taboos, they're losing their culture, they're also losing their knowledge of the plants. So it doesn't help much. And so she gave them to me when I came back down, but they were having another fiesta, and the men were all sitting together at one end of the house. It was an Indian house. Has a trunk in front to climb up because they're built sort of on stilts because of the floods. And then just a platform and a roof. And nice and airy. And they were all sitting around there. It was raining. And the women got me the plants and I was just about to get them down to the canoe when some of the old men who were sitting in a little row in the back came over and looked at the plants and looked at me. Then they started talking, and my friend Tessa started explaining. It didn't work. And they said that she was looking very distressed, and so was her auntie had helped in this deal. But I had been thinking about this. I'd learned the trick from a man in Shanghai who had a hard time getting the best of his Chinese servants sometimes. And so, through the interpreter, I said, tell Tessa to tell them. I already knew the names of all these plants. I knew all about them. So Tessa did, I suppose, and she spouted Hebrew. And they said, okay, if that's the case, what's the name of this one? So I, through the interpreter, said, well, tell him, of course, I don't speak his language. So I couldn't tell him what this bench is in Hebrew. I don't know the word for bench. I couldn't tell him what the rain is, but I can tell him what it is in my language. It is this one I think is a logarithm. And this one is an isosceles it's quadrangle. Which is throwing a wild combination. And they do sound magical. And they are magic to me. I don't understand them at all. And I got by with it. Because Tessa said, and the old witch doctor whom I had bribed by giving him a glass eye, with which I figured he could sort of pull a few fast ones if he ever gotten a problem with magic. And so it worked beautifully. And I left rather quickly and got them in the canoe and off we went. But that's how secret they are. And now
I'll let you off the hook. Thank you. Yes, well, I mean, I talk a lot about how this plant knowledge is being lost, even more quickly than the rainforest itself. And I think very few modern ethnographers have taken the time to learn it the way you have. And very few modern ethnographers have been able to gain the confidence of women the way you have.
They haven't tried.
No, they haven't tried. But I know horror stories of clashes between insensitive anthropologists and tribal groups
Well,
where...
you have to keep your antenna out all the time.
And you have to take your time and not be in a hurry.
I have been sometimes and got myself thrown out.
By being in a hurry. Yes, Nicole is the only white person I have ever met who has been able to convince me that they actually enjoyed being in the jungle. And Nicole does enjoy being in the jungle.
Well, why not?
There are 10,000 reasons why not.
It is the most exciting, the most beautiful, and the most sort of sacred, it has a spirit, a very strong spirit. And also you have the great pleasure of thinking, imagine me doing this, and feeling like somebody important.
That's
to
right.
yourself.
That's right.
And I don't get that chance very often.
But I traveled years later to many of the same places that Nicole describes in her book, The Witch Doctor's Apprentice. And the model, let me tell you, for exploratory writing is you go nowhere and then you exaggerate when you write about it. And all these hairy-chested guys who are running around the Amazon with machine guns and helicopters inevitably exaggerate the difficulty. And if you read Nicole's book, it sounds as though the Amazon basin is just dotted with wonderful, clean, friendly villages filled with happy, fascinating people.
Oh, nuts. My books aren't phony.
No, that's what I mean. You don't exaggerate. But Sebastian Snow and some of these other people...
Well, I knew Sebastian. He came to my door and said, in Lima many years ago, somebody banged on the door. He was this nice little blonde boy. And he said, I'm Sebastian Snow, the Royal Geographical Society. I said, that's nice. I'm a fellow, too. I said, well, I'm not yet, but I'm going to be. So then...
No, well, I think the acid test for every Amazon explorer is how hard you find it to stay at Arica. And I became...
well, that was not...
That was a hellhole. Well, Alfred Russel Wallace in 1858 described it as absolutely unbearable. You had a terrible time there.
Well,
I had
not only that, I lived
time.
in a double boiler.
You lived in one of those metal buildings
Yeah.
that they put up. Yes, so did I. Yes. Why would people put up with this kind of stuff unless they felt they were in touch with a living world?
Because the people they sent down, they didn't know. It was the Colombian police. And they sent down people who were from Bogota, grew up in Bogota, didn't know a thing about the jungle, and they sent them for a year and a half so they didn't have time to learn anything.
Very lonely boys from Boyacá.
And the thing that's bad about that place is that they have the most stinging gnats I have ever seen. 3 kinds of stinging insects that fly in clouds. Really in clouds. And there are the little black gnats that make a blister. There are the little black gnats that make a bloody spot. And there are the tabanos, the triangular black flies